And joining us now with more on the release of the 4 hostages and the next steps of the ceasefire agreement is Fleur Hassan-Nahoum, special envoy at the Foreign Ministry. Fleur, always great to have you on.
Thank you so much.
So I want to start by asking you to maybe give our viewers a sense of the feelings. What Israelis are feeling today after the release of these 4 brave women?
Well, as usual, we are such a country of mixed feelings right now, but I don't think anybody doubts how proud we felt of those 4 young women yesterday who got up on that stage, which was managed cynically by Hamas to be a show of their humiliation. And instead, it came out as a show of their strength, of their resilience, of their declaration to the world with their smiles and their fist pumps that you didn't break us. And so whatever was intended, I think the result was completely the opposite of what they intended. And with them, they made the whole country so proud of that strength. These young women, 19 years old, 18, 20, when they were captured, it's just unbelievable, their strength and resilience. So I think everybody's feeling incredibly proud, a little moment of joy, but still very concerned by the hostages that are left behind.
And we've seen Hamas breach the agreement twice now already. What does this mean for the next phases of the agreement, for the next stages?
Well, Hamas is always trying to see how much they can push our patience. And so they said they were going to be providing a list of who's alive and who's dead. They didn't do it. They pushed up the release hour. We're not going to complain about that. But more importantly, they switched the order around. As you know, there's one more lookout soldier who has not been released, a gun burger, and there's a civilian that should have been released yesterday and also wasn't released, Albel Yehud. And so we pray that they're released very quickly. Israel has been insisting that we needed that civilian woman yesterday, and so Hamas should release her as soon as possible. And we're not going to go to a second phase of what we need to be doing, which is letting them go to northern Gaza. There's thousands and thousands of Palestinians who want to get to northern Gaza. And so we're not going to allow them to get away with breaching the ceasefire as we did for many, many years.
Now, as you said, there's mixed feelings inside of Israel. Some people opposed to this deal, saying it's a bad deal and comes at too high of a cost. On the other hand, there does seem to be a consensus that Israel must resume the war after these 33 hostages are released in the first phase. What are your thoughts on this? And will Israel be able to resume this war once it does, in fact, pull back from Netzarim and allow the Gazan civilians to return to the north?
Well, I think that we have to do everything possible to ensure that we bring back all the hostages. And in my mind, if that means to stop the war for 6 months until they all come home, then that's what we should do, because that's how we really win. But of course, reserve the right to go back in and to finish the job. And even if it takes us a year or 2 years, it may not happen overnight, and there needs to be an alternative leadership infrastructure in place. But I think what's most important right now, and the victory for Israel, will be when all our hostages are home. We can't just let them languish there.
And I also want to hear your take on U.S. President Trump's statement that he made yesterday. First of all, he's lifted the Biden administration's weapons sanctions on the heavy bombs to Israel. So that is an incredible move by President Trump. But he also said that Egypt and Jordan should take in Gazan civilians. He said maybe it's better to clear out Gaza entirely and rebuild it from scratch. Is this plausible?
Well, he's not wrong, because let's be honest, the elephant in the room throughout this whole entire war has been that Egypt has a border in Gaza. Why didn't they take in women and children, refugees, through the war? Why didn't they get people out of the way? Why did Israel have to, really make huge efforts in moving entire populations so they wouldn't get hurt when they could have just gone across the border to Egypt and settled temporarily in the Sinai until the war was over. It made perfect sense at the time. And if there are American guarantees, I don't see why Egypt shouldn't play ball. Same with Jordan. But the thing about Jordan and Egypt is that they've washed their hands of the Palestinian problem like it's not their problem that they didn't cause. They created this problem by attacking Israel in 48 and 67 and 73. And so they should be part of the solution and they shouldn't be let scot-free. And so in that, I think President Trump is 100% correct. And I'm very happy that he's lifted the sanctions and the slow rolling of the military aid that we needed. He wants us to finish this war, but he knows that he needs to help us with the tools to finish this war.
Absolutely. Fleur, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.